Welcome to the Stella P overview video, Data Universe. This recording is intended to help you understand which households are included in the data which is displayed in Stella P. The universe is the collection of all households counted in a particular measure. You may have wondered which projects and households are included in Stella P. Why is the number of households served in the system different than the number of households with days homeless? Are the exits and returns universe the same? This demonstration will use graphics and example households to explain the data universes for each performance measure in Stella P, as well as the overall universe or base universe. We will not get into the details of how each performance measure is calculated. We recommend you view the rest of the Stella P overview videos to catch up on the basics. The first graphic represents some of the variety of household interactions with the homeless system that are included in Stella P, representing households that were served in the homeless system during the report period in HMIS participating projects. Households served in emergency shelter, safe haven, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, or permanent supportive housing projects are included in this base universe, even if they did not have a single day of homelessness during the current report period, the time shaded in blue. A household who was housed in a permanent supportive housing project during the entire report period will not be counted towards any performance measures, but is still included in the base universe. The Demographics Comparison tab in Stella includes the same households as the base universe when all households and served in any project type are selected. The base universe also represents all the households that will be included in the utilization and occupancy measures in the inventory section of Stella P, coming soon. As we go through the subsequent graphics, you will see highlighting around the sample households that are included in each of the data universes included in Stella P. Household 1 had 3 separate project enrollments, which occurred during the report period. They were in an emergency shelter when the report period began, then enrolled in a transitional housing project. After exiting the transitional housing project to an institution, they returned to the homeless system during the same report period by enrolling in a rapid rehousing project. They were housed in rapid rehousing and ultimately exited the homeless system within the report period. Enrollment in any one of these projects would have included the household in the base universe. Household 2 was enrolled in an emergency shelter at the start of the report period, exited the shelter, and returned to the homeless system in an emergency shelter project within the same report period. Stella P doesn't tell us if they entered the same emergency shelter project or a different project. Household 3 spent time in an emergency shelter during which they were simultaneously enrolled in a rapid rehousing project but not yet housed. Ultimately, they exited the shelter to housing with the assistance of the rapid rehousing project. Household 4 was housed in permanent supportive housing at the beginning of the report period and exited the permanent supportive housing project to a permanent destination during the report period. Though they did not experience homelessness during the report period, they were served in the homeless system and therefore are included in the base universe. As you see, households are included in the base universe if they have one or more enrollments in any of the following project types, reporting data in HMIS and included in the LSA. To recap, the base universe includes households served in emergency shelter, safe haven, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, or permanent supportive housing projects during the report period, even if they did not have days homeless during the current report period. The base universe used in the System Performance Overview on the Dashboard section of Stella, as well as the Demographics section of Stella in the Inventory section of Stella, which is still in development at the time of this recording. Households with days homeless are households that spent at least one day in emergency shelter, safe haven, transitional housing, or rapid rehousing, or days enrolled in permanent supportive housing prior to move-in during the report period. In this graphic, 3 of the 4 households had days homeless during the report period, shown by the purple box around the household icon. Households that only had self-reported days homeless during the report period are not included in this universe. Household 1 had days homeless in the homeless system during the report period in emergency shelter, transitional housing, and rapid rehousing. Therefore, Household 1 is included in the days homeless universe. Household 2 had days homeless in 2 separate emergency shelter days during the report period. Household 3 had days homeless while in emergency shelter. In this case, days in rapid rehousing prior to move-in were co-occurring with days homeless in the emergency shelter. Those days will not be double counted in the calculation for average days homeless. Household 4 was already housed in permanent supportive housing project at the start of the report period and did not experience any subsequent days homeless in the homeless system during the report period. Therefore, this household will not be counted in the days homeless universe. Let's recap the days homeless universe. Households with days homeless are households that spend at least 1 day in emergency shelter, safe haven, transitional housing, or rapid rehousing, or days enrolled in permanent supportive housing prior to the move-in during the report period. The universe is used in the days homeless overview, days homeless by pathway, and days homeless by population pages of Stella, as well as the days homeless measures included on the dashboard and trends pages. The exits measure is calculated by dividing the number of households that exited to permanent destinations by all exiting households. Households are included in the exits universe if they exited the homeless system during the report period. Stella P only looks at system exits. If a household exited one project and enrolled in another project within 14 days of exits, the first project exit is not considered a system exit. If there are more than one system exits in the report period, only the last one is included in the universe for the exits performance measure. Household 1 exited 3 projects during the report period and had 2 system exits. Household 1 is included in the exit universe, and their last exit, the exit from rapid rehousing to a permanent destination, is included in the exits universe. Household 2 exited the homeless system from an emergency shelter project to the streets. Though they subsequently returned to the homeless system during the report period, because the return was more than 14 days after the exit is counted as a system exit and is included in the exits universe. Household 3 was continuously enrolled in projects during the report period and therefore is not included in the exits universe. Household 4 is exited from permanent supportive housing during the report period and did not enroll in another project within 14 days of exit, so they are included in the exits universe. To review, households are counted in the exits universe if they have a system exit during the report period, regardless of if they have any days homeless or not. Households that re-enrolled in another project within 14 days of a project exit are not considered to have exited the system. This universe is used in the exits overview, exits by pathway, and the exits by population pages of Stella, as well as the exits measures included on the dashboard and trends pages. The returns measure is calculated by dividing the number of households that return to the homeless system by the universe of households that exited the homeless system. Returns are measured based on an exit cohort from a specific report period. Stella includes returns measures for 3 exit cohorts. Cohort 1 is the universe for the main returns measure, shown here as the group of households that exited the homeless system in the first 6 months of the current report period, shown as the green shaded area. Note, this universe is a subset, roughly half, of the exits universe. For this exit cohort, we measure the returns by dividing the number of households that returned to the system within 6 months of exiting by all of the households that exited in the cohort. This is the measure shown in the dashboard overview and the system map. Household 1 and Household 2 had system exits during the green shaded time frame and therefore are included in the exit cohort, which is the returns universe. A red bracket after each of these system exits indicates the 6-month return period being measured. Returns are measured from the day the household exited. After exiting the homeless system from a transitional housing project, Household 1 returned to the homeless system by enrolling in a rapid rehousing project, as indicated by the red vertical line. Because this return was within 6 months of the household exit, it will be counted in this returns measure. After exiting the homeless system from emergency shelter project, Household 2 returned to the homeless system when they enrolled in an emergency shelter project. However, since this return was more than 6 months after the exit from the homeless system, they are not counted towards the 6-month returns measure. With a universe or denominator of 2 households and only 1 household returning within 6 months, this example has a 50% returns rate. Now let's look at exit cohort 2. The universe for this exit cohort includes households with a system exit in the 12 months prior to the current report period, shown as a green shaded area. In this example, only household 3 has a system exit during this time period. With this universe as our denominator, we can look at both 6-month returns and 12-month returns. Again, the red brackets show the return periods we are measuring. Household 3 did not return to the homeless system within 6 months of exiting, so the 6-month return rate in this example is 0%. Household 3 did return to the homeless system within 12 months of exiting, so the 12-month return rate is 100%. Note, the 12-month return measure is cumulative, including both returns within 6 months and returns within 7 to 12 months. Exit cohort 3 is the universe of households with a system exit between 12 and 24 months prior to the current report period, shown as the green shaded area. In this example, only 1 household had a system exit during this time period. With this universe as our denominator, we can look at 6-month, 12-month, and 24-month returns to the homeless system, shown with the red brackets. Household 1 returned to the homeless system within 13 to 24 months from their exit. This example has no returns during the 6 and 12-month periods. Though Household 2 returned to the system during this time period, the household was not part of the universe since they didn't exit the homeless system between the 12 and 24 month prior to the report period. The returns universe is based on one of 3 exit cohorts included in Stella. Households that exited in the first 6 months of the current report period, households that exited in the 12 months prior to the current report period, households that exited between 12 and 24 months prior to the current report period. This universe is used in the returns overview, returns by pathway, and returns by population pages of Stella, as well as the returns measures included in the dashboard and trends pages. Now let's pull it all together and look at each example household to see what data universes they are included in. Household 1 is included in the base universe, the days homeless universe, the exits universe, and the returns universe for exit cohort 1 and exit cohort 3. Household 2 is included in the base universe, the days homeless universe, the exits universe, and the returns universe for exit cohort 1. Household 3 is included in the base universe, the days homeless universe, and the returns universe for exit cohort 2. Household 4 is included in the base universe and the exits universe. We have reviewed the 4 data universes included in Stella P. The base universe includes households served in emergency shelter, safe haven, transitional housing, rapid rehousing, or permanent supportive housing during the report period in HMIS participating projects. The days homeless universe includes households that had at least 1 day in emergency shelter, safe haven, transitional housing, or rapid rehousing, or days in permanent supportive housing prior to move-in during the report period. The exits universe includes households that exited the homeless system during the report period and did not enroll within 14 days of exit in another project. The returns measure has three data universes, including households that exited in one of the following cohorts: in the first 6 months of the current report period, in the 12 months prior to the current report period, and between 12 and 24 months prior to the current report period. This concludes the Stella Performance Universe webinar. For more Stella resources, please visit the HUD Exchange Stella landing page or submit a question to the AAQ desk with the topic HDX.